it's Angie with Flip Flop Your Life, and this is episode 7 with Shannon Mattern, and I'll let her tell you exactly what she does, but we've only known each other now for maybe 5 months, hasn't it been? Something like that, and it feels like I swear it feels like 5 years.
Yeah, it does.
It's really weird. It's really weird. She does a lot of the same stuff that I do and a lot more. She's a podcaster. She's a coach and a web developer.
Yep.
All of the same stuff, at least, web development. I know I've done that a lot longer than you, but I consider you kind of like a mentor for me in the other areas because that's what we want to get into. But I don't know. It's awesome, and I'll let her tell you more about it. But why don't we talk about you personally?
Yeah. So thanks for having me on the show. It's like very exciting for me to be on this because once I found out that you guys had a podcast, that you were web developers and all that, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool.
Not as many episodes as her.
Well, we could talk about that in a little bit. But I don't know anybody locally that does that. And so it's just really great to have someone here that I can talk to and kind of commiserate with.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I live in Columbus, Ohio with my dog, Scarlett, who's trying to be on the show. She'll probably make a cameo here. And my husband, Floyd. So we don't have any kids. It's just the two of us. And I have been, on my own in my own business for 2 years, but it was a side hustle for 3 years before that. So I've been doing this for about 5 years total. And it just kind of started as I was really unfulfilled in my day job. A
lot of you can relate.
Yeah, it was like I went to college. I did all the things that you're supposed to do, like go to school, get straight A's, go to college, do well there, get the job, all the things. And really at the end of the day, it was like, is this what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life? Like I can't. I just can't imagine this Groundhog Day over and over and over. I was like, is this what it was all for? Because I don't feel like I have the freedom that I thought I would have as an adult. So that's kind of what spawned starting the side hustle and starting my own business and working to quit the grind of the day job. And
so what was your day job that you did before?
So I was the director of continuing education, marketing, and information technology for a nonprofit here in Columbus. And I did that for 10 years. And a lot of the things that I learned on that job were skills that I then took and transformed into what I'm doing now. Yeah. Awesome.
So what made you decide to finally say, I'm done with this. I'm quitting my 9-to-5 job.
So it was a lot of things. I mean, the first, when I started side hustling and I started doing it as a web designer one-on-one, I really thought, oh, this is going to happen really fast and I'm going to make enough money really fast to be able to replace my income and totally quit my job. And it did not happen that way at all.
Yeah.
For those of you that are service providers or do one-on-one stuff, you have a business where you're trading your time for money, it's kind of hard to work enough outside of a 40-hour-a-week job to replace that. And I'm a very conservative person, so I was not going to be I'll just quit and see if I can replace it and we'll see what happens.
Yep.
So I definitely wanted to take my time. So I stopped doing one-on-one work for a while. I started teaching and doing affiliate marketing and coaching and teaching people how to build their own website. And I told myself, when I replace my day job income twice, in a month, then I can put my notice in at my job. And so it took 3 years to really get to that point, because I was doing it all outside of this job, and I had made a lot of mistakes along the way, but it was worth it. It was worth the journey for sure.
Well, why don't you tell everybody what those businesses are that you have now?
Yeah, so I do something called the free 5-day website challenge where I teach entrepreneurs how to DIY their websites. And if you're hearing like crunching down here, it's because my dog decided now's a great time to chew a bone. And this is what working from home is like. Like,
it's
hey,
the
we're
fun
doing
of
a
it.
podcast. I think now's a great time to chew a bone.
Yep.
So
she has to be a part of it.
Yeah, she does. So I teach entrepreneurs how to DIY their website because people who were just like me back then starting out, they don't have the budget, but they want to have an online presence. So I teach them how to do that. And I it's all a free training, but I earn money from that through affiliate marketing.
Right.
Which I had no idea it existed before that, but I was like,
there's so much more of it now than there was even back when I started. There is a ton more affiliate marketing, and it's so much easier and really a great way for people to make a little bit of extra income.
Well, yeah, because you don't have to have your own product or service.
Right.
Somebody else has created something, and I feel like all you have to do is really kind of be the person who's going to like show your audience how to effectively use that or get a result from that product. Mm-hmm. So I think to do it really well, you can kind of be like the person that's like, I'm going to show you how to use this, how to use it to its full potential. And when you use my link to buy it, I earn a commission. But I'm like doing more than just saying, hey, buy this. Like,
right.
It goes a lot deeper than that. So, so that's one thing that I did. And then kind of out of that came people saying, hey, can you build my website for me? It looks great. Thanks for showing me how to do it, but I don't want to put in all the work. Can you do it for me? And at first I was like, I don't have time. Like, I have a full-time job. I'm doing all this stuff.
During that.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I don't want to. And then I realized how much money I was leaving on the table.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like systematized the whole process to like, okay, here's how I can build your website. I'm not going to take on like custom jobs or anything that like I'm not kind of dictating the terms. And that's kind of how I was able to like make that work while working full time. And then out of both of those things really came people saying like, okay, well, I have a website. How do I get traffic? How do I market myself? Mm-hmm. And I had figured out how to get traffic and market myself along the way. So I was like, well, I'll teach you how to do that. And so I have a course that helps with that. And then people asking me, how did you get web design clients? And so I teach that too. So it's like, I feel like the kind of arms of my business really started from people asking me how I was doing things. And I noticed like, oh, I'm getting a lot of questions about this. And so there's an opportunity there.
I could kick myself because we've been doing it for 22 years, and over that time, there is so much that so many people have asked me, and this is why she's my mentor, because what she's doing, I should have been doing like 15 years ago, so you're like kicking my butt into gear, but I think the podcast part of it is really cool because, you know, those have gotten a lot of steam and stuff that, you know, people are really starting to listen to those, and I think a lot of people could get a lot of information from you through your podcasts and through, I mean, how many do you have now? How many are
over 250 episodes, which is insanity.
It is insane, people. It is a lot. I'm on 7, so I have a long way to go. But she has so much information, and for anybody even, not even going into the business that we're in, but even for doing any other type of business, starting up a business, you have so much information there for people. So people will have to definitely check that out for sure. What's your most memorable story or of someone that you've helped that you can share?
My gosh.
One of them or a couple of them, whatever.
That's like the craziest thing about doing this is the emails that I get from people that like, it's one thing to sit in a room by yourself and like create this content and like do the podcast and, you know, create the courses and all the things, and you're kind of like putting it out there and you're seeing metrics and you're seeing numbers and, you know, email list subscribers and analytics, but you're like, it's like, oh, there are real people behind all of those numbers. Right. And it always blows my mind every time I get an email of someone. I'm just saying, oh my gosh, I built my business because 5 years ago you taught me how to build a website, and now I was able to like quit my job and whatever. But I think the most memorable one was when a woman told me that her son was like trying, I guess in the UK, he was trying to like get into college, and he was like, he didn't have a project for what he needed to do to like get into college, and so he took my 5-day website challenge and built a website and made that his project, and that was able to like get him into university.
What?
And I was like, are you kidding me right now? She was like, thank you so much. He was struggling until he found that. And I was like, okay, that's like the best story
cool. That
in the whole wide
gives me
world.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
that's neat.
It's so, you know, it wasn't like he built this business and made $1 million, but it was like he was just able to take something he learned online from some girl in Ohio and like take the next step on his path. And I'm just like, okay, like if I had not done that, like it's just so cool.
That is really cool. Is it still going? I mean, does he still have the website and everything?
Yeah, like he's like in his second year of
really
college, and that was like the thing that kind of like got him, you know, tipped the scales for him to like put this together, which I'm just like, what? It's crazy.
That is really crazy.
Yeah.
Any other stories?
I hear from people all the time. There's one girl who has a Pinterest course, and she started off as a blogger, and she like learned how to build her blog with WordPress through my challenge, and then of course she took everything and ran with it and figured out how to use Pinterest to get tons of traffic. Now she has a Pinterest course. I just interviewed a girl on my podcast who sold her blog for over $100,000, and she's like, oh, I learned how to build that from your training.
Seriously?
I was like, what? Yeah. So if you guys know how to do something, go make a course out of it, because you can change people's lives. This stuff is easier. Like, it's easy for me to like build websites just like you. We've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. We've been doing it so long, we can do it in our sleep, but we don't realize like there are people out there who don't know how, and it's not easy.
Right.
And there's probably something that the listeners of this podcast know how to do that's easy for them, that they think, oh, you know, no big deal. It's a big deal to other people.
Oh, yeah. And today, I mean, when we first started with designing, there weren't very many platforms at all to be able to use to create a website.
Yep.
Now it's almost like it's even harder because people have no clue what one to use.
Yep.
Which one is better than the other? And I'm even going through that right now I know so many of them that I'm trying to figure out, okay, which one is the one I'm going to teach on and teach people that I already know and that will be following me. I can totally see where somebody would be just like, just tell me.
Exactly.
Just tell me what to do.
It's almost like you can't go wrong in picking the platform because as long as you get them to their end results, it's fine. But like the thing is like the barrier to entry to doing, you know, being a business owner and kind of doing your own thing is so low right now that it is overwhelming to like pick the right thing, like you said. But it's just a matter of like, just pick something and get started. You really can't go wrong, like on both sides. On the end user side, like you're not going to pick the wrong platform. You can always change. You're not locked in. Like, just get started. Right. That's my best advice.
That's huge. That is huge. Well, I guess that goes in with the question of how you've impacted or helped others. Definitely with those stories that you just told us. So that's great. Well, you're a great podcaster. If there's another podcast other than yours that you want people to follow, what's another good one that you suggest to people? That's like it's a good inspiring one for people to really start their own business.
Yeah, so thank you. I appreciate that. It was like lots of practice over, you know, you start to be at the beginning and you're just messing stuff up left and right, and you know, the more I still mess stuff up 250 episodes in, but you know,
I understand.
It's just
completely.
I love doing it because I love getting to talk to people like you. You were on Pep Talks for Side Hustlers and shared your story. I think that's the most rewarding thing to me, is like talking to other people about like how they were able to kind of change their lives around too. But I think if you're just wanting to get started, I think Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn is like an awesome podcast to listen to. That's really the first podcast that I started listening to when I was like, okay, I don't want to do one client work anymore. I want to figure out this passive income thing. And so that was the one I learned about affiliate marketing from there. So if you are interested in learning about what that is, like that's the best podcast to listen to. And then I think for beginners, Online Marketing Made Easy by Amy Porterfield. She talks about.
We've talked about her a lot. With
yeah,
me.
she's like the guru of, online marketing, I guess, just in the capacity of like online courses and really how to like build an email list and nurture your subscribers and all that stuff. So I really like those two. And then just for like mindset, mental stuff, I think the Life Coach School podcast with Brooke Castillo, I think that's one that's really impacted me because, there's a whole lot of stuff that you have to overcome when you're like, hey, I'm going to strike out on my own and build a business. And I feel like a total imposter and I feel overwhelmed and stressed. And I don't know, I need to like figure out how to manage my mind.
And then family and friends are like, we know you do something and you do something at home. Right. You must not really work.
Oh yeah, you don't work.
You got the time.
And you're like,
can do this.
What? Yeah, so there's a lot of
you will get that.
Managing your mind over it and like all the things, because that's why I'm so glad I met you. It's like we can sit down and talk about business and all the things, whereas, my husband's eyes glaze over when I'm like, oh, guess what I got to do today? And he's like, I'm politely listening to you, honey, but it's like when I tell you my work stories, you glaze over.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get that. All right. In terms of flip-flopping your life, when would you say yours really, when did it really flip? When was the exact time?
It really flipped, it flipped the January 2nd of 2018, because that's when was my first day of self-employment.
What did you do on that day?
I went and got a massage.
Oh,
first thing.
That's good.
Yeah, that morning I went and got a massage while it was January 2nd, so everyone's going back to work after the Christmas holiday. And I was like, I'm on my way to go get a massage. And that's how I kicked it off. And then actually that night I did a Facebook Live party.
You did?
And I invited some of the mentors that I had followed. And I said, hey, because of you, I was able to do this. Will you come on and do this celebration with me? And
that's
so I kind
of awesome idea.
It was
you didn't tell me you did that.
Yeah. So it was maybe a year before I even launched the podcast. I kind of had done that. Mm-hmm. And that was at the advice of my business coach at the time. She's like, you got to leverage this whole quitting your day job thing.
That's a great idea, you guys. That's great.
So I did that night. And then the rest of the week it was just okay, now I'm really scared because I don't have a paycheck coming.
Yep.
So I'm going to work like a crazy person for the next year until I kind of settle down and prove to myself that the sky isn't going to fall and I'm not going to lose my house and it's all going to be fine.
And there's more and more people than you think that are out there that need your help. I mean, it really it starts to open up. I know from experience.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your goals and your aspirations for the rest of this year and then on into next year?
So I spent that first year overworking because I was scared. I kind of settled into things the second year and I was like, okay, I got this. I think I kind of know what I want to do. I know what I want to stop doing. I know what I want to do more of, so I've kind of dialed that stuff in this year, and I've really kind of spent a lot of time building the foundation for what's to come. I'd like to work less, honestly. I flip-flopped my lifestyle, and I have total freedom, but I work a lot, know?
I hear you. Do you feel this is the feeling that, and it's taken me till maybe the last 3 years to finally do this out of 22 years. This is my business.
Right.
No, I don't have to start working at 8 a.m. in the morning like you do, or 9 a.m. in the morning like you do. And it's hard to make yourself realize that you can do it whenever you want. Nobody dictates the time, and nobody really truly dictates how much you have to work on a daily basis. Yeah. You could do 2 hours one day and maybe 8 hours the next day. And that was really hard for me. to not get up and just do 8 to 5 every day. This is when I have to work. This is work time.
Yeah.
And of course, being at home, then it goes way past 5 o'clock. But did you feel the same way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had been at a day job for 15 years before I quit. And so I was definitely on that routine. And I always did feel like, what if someone emails me? You know, what if they need me? All the things. And it's like, I felt like, well, nobody expects me to answer in the evenings, but they expect me to answer during the day. And I had all these kind of like thoughts around it. And yeah, so it's just a matter of like me kind of rethinking, like, how do I want to run this? How can I kind of set those expectations up front for everybody so that I feel, you know, like I can hold those boundaries? And I still struggle with it. I mean, I do.
I do too.
And I think, you know, sometimes I want to work on Saturday. Sometimes I want to work in the evening because I love what I do. But like when I feel like I have to work, that's when I'm like all resentful about it.
Yes.
It's just like,
I get it. The weekend's kind of nice though, because then nobody else is typically on, and so I don't know if you, but I can get so much more done when I know I don't have to check my email. I don't have to worry about it. I can just dive into a project and get it done and get things done.
Yeah,
so.
That's my favorite time is like a Saturday morning. Uninterrupted. I'm so productive. I'm so creative, and you know that's the beauty of it. It's like I want to feel that freedom all the time. I don't like to feel tied down. I don't like to feel like I have to do this and be like, you know, of course there's a schedule. We have obligations. If I want to make money, I have to do certain things, right? But I don't want to feel the same stifling lack of freedom that I felt at my day job. And so like it's taken me some time to figure out how to really create some structure and some boundaries and still feel like I also have freedom. So and it's still a process.
Trust me, it kind of doesn't ever go away. And vacations are always a little bit different, but still, I wouldn't
still, my friends are like, put your laptop down.
Yep.
Put it back in the hotel room.
Yep.
Stop.
Yep. That's just what happens.
Yeah.
It's just what happens.
Yeah.
But, okay. If your flip-flops were magic slippers and you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
I love this question, and I was thinking about it when I saw it beforehand. I was thinking, what sounds magical to me is like one of those huts over the water.
Oh,
you know, where like it's like blue ocean.
It's like Bora Bora or
I have
Maldives.
no idea.
Isn't
where
it the
that
Maldives?
Maybe, sure. I have no idea.
Sounds
I don't have
good.
a specific place in mind, but I have like this idea of like it just being like so peaceful and hearing the water and just the scenery of all of that. You know, that just sounds amazing. Any beach vacation I love. But I also want to practice like being able to chill out before I do something like that, because I'm like, am I going to be bored? You know, am I going to be like looking at this and then think, oh, it'd be nice to have my laptop and work while looking at this beautiful
No.
So
what activities would you
I know,
want
I'm
to do?
really like, I'd love to snorkel, I'd love to kayak, I'd love to hike. So what I need to work on is like, now that I've flip-flopped my lifestyle to have the freedom, I need to take advantage of it. And that's really like kind of goes into your last question is like for 2020 is like really like start taking advantage of the freedom that I've really created for myself, because I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. And you'll be able to talk about that then in your podcast and with people. So that would be great. That sounds cool. I always see those pictures of the huts over the water.
Right?
There's like 20 of them, and they all have their own pool and their own all that. Yeah,
it sounds amazing.
Sounds awesome. So you could have one, and we could have one,
Perfect.
and then Renee could have one. Yes. We'll make it a party.
Sounds great.
Well, thank you so much for being on here. Why don't you tell everybody how they can listen to your podcast? I think you definitely need to subscribe to her podcast. And I'll put all the information in the blog post below this. So, but I'll let you tell them.
Yeah, so you guys can go to peptalksforsidehustlers.com, and that's the website for the podcast. So any place you listen to podcasts, those are all linked up there. I'm on Instagram at Shannon L. Mattern. And then if you want to learn more about how to build a website with that 5-day challenge, it's just on the Pep Talks for Side Hustlers website.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
See ya.
Bye.
Yay, we did